Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I am creating a layout about making Christmas dinner, and for this layout I pulled out some fun Brutus Monroe products. I have the Crafty Elves stamp set, the Crafty Elves paper collection. I also pulled out this stencil called Ribbon Curls, some Velveteen Glazes, and I couldn't pull out my Velveteens without pulling out a little bit of Glitter Glaze, so I have that as well. I also have the circle stencil, also from Brutus Monroe, so let's see what I can do. Guys, so I'm going to start off with this small circle stencil, and I am using Fallen Snow Glitter Glaze. I'm just using a silicone brush to go ahead and push the glitter glaze through the stencil. Now, I'm not doing a super thick globby amount of glitter glaze on here. This is just enough to give me that shining, shimmering, splendid that I just love so much. So I think that Fallen Snow is my absolute favorite glitter glaze of all time. It just really is. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's gorgeous on white. It's gorgeous on color. It's gorgeous on black. Like, it just, oh, you guys, it makes my little glitter glaze heart so very happy. So I'm going to go ahead and do this in all four corners of the background paper. So this is just a sheet of black cardstock, nothing special, just a plain piece of black cardstock. What is the magical piece is that Fallen Snow glitter glaze. So I am trying to be careful so that I'm not getting a whole heck of a lot of glitter glaze just kind of all over my paper, and it's not going on too thickly because I do want it to dry in more of the quick style, right? Like, we want it to dry pretty quick so I can go ahead and play with it. So now I'm pulling out some Velveteen Glazes and another silicone brush. This is a thinner one, and I'm using a thinner one this time just because I felt like I could have better control over these ribbons right here. And however you want to apply your glazes is beautiful. Like, you don't have to apply them in a certain way. You can do, you know, basically whatever you want to do with it. Now, this is the Ribbon Curls stencil, not just the ribbon stencil. So in case you were wondering, it is the Ribbon Curls stencil. Now, this is a super fun stencil. You could just use this as kind of a background, you know, just in any way that you want it to. It doesn't have to be what I'm going to do with it. But I think what I do with it is pretty, it's pretty cool, you guys. At least I think it's pretty cool. So I am mixing the three Velveteen glazes here, and what that is allowing me to do is to kind of have a variation and a tiny little bit of a gradient on my ribbons. So they're not just kind of flat in one note. They have all kinds of goodness. Now, that circle stencil that I was using before is a circle stencil. It's a stencil staple, so it's like a basic stencil, in case you needed to know about that as well. So I will try to have everything linked down below so you can check it out, because you're going to need some of these things in your life, 100%. So I'm cleaning off some of the excess, and then I am going to pull that stencil off. Now, I am not stressing out about the over velveteen glaziness on that stencil, because I'm going to fussy cut out those ribbons, you guys. It's a labor of love, and I'm going to do it. So now I decided to go ahead and cut apart the background paper, my original background paper idea, and I'm just going to trim this down. Now I am actually going to turn my entire layout into a package, and I am going to do that so that it looks like a present, which I just said because I'm turning my entire layout into a package. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys with what I'm doing with it. I really think this is a cool idea. The colors might not be your cup of tea, because they definitely aren't screaming Christmas. They're not like red and green. They're not that traditional, holly jolly way. But, it doesn't always have to be that way. So every year I do a December project, and that is very traditional Christmas colors in there. But in my chronological yearly scrapbook albums, whatever that, chronicles our years, I like to use all different kinds of things. I am not beholden to the traditional colors like I am in my album that I use to document the month of December. So, really excited about this layout. So I am going to mat some of these papers from the Crafty Elves paper pad. Now, this paper pad is pretty cool because it is printed on both sides. So I'm going to bring these into kind of the center of the layout. And as you can see, my papers are not exactly the same width and height. They aren't exactly the same size. And I am not stressing about that. What I am going to do is just straighten them up a tiny little bit, because it was a little bit too much to fudge. You know what I mean? I find that I really enjoy scrapbooking for the fact that it doesn't have to be so precise. It can be a little wonky and a little messy and a little bit whoa. So I just fudge it a little bit. But there was a little bit more wonkiness than I really want it to have. So I do go ahead and just trim a tiny little bit. So now I'm going to get these papers down. And as you can see, they still are not 100% perfect. But you're not going to be able to really tell by the time the layout is actually put together. So I'm putting these decorative bits close to the edge here, and my photo is going to be off on the right-hand side here on the bottom right. I'm going to mat the photo on some white cardstock. So this is a photo of Christmas dinner, or it's either Christmas or Christmas Eve dinner. I don't remember off the top of my head. I scrapbooked this page a little bit ago, so I'm not exactly sure what it is. Now I'm going to pull out those same Velveteen Glazes that I used before for the ribbon stencil, and I'm going to place them down on this scrap of white cardstock. Now, this is a wet medium, you guys, so the cardstock does curl, as you can see, but I am not, again, I'm not stressing out about that. It's not the end of the world if my cardstock curls. My layouts are all going to end up in an album where they are going to be pressed in a page protector, and they will be in a very full album, so I am not worried about it. So I have a template to make a bow, and I'm just cutting out the template, and then I'm going to trace it over top of the Velveteen Glaze kind of wash that I did on this cardstock. What this is going to allow me to do is have a bow in this color, the same color of the Velveteen Glazes that I went through the stencils, the ribbon curl stencil, because I want the curls to be the curly bits out of my bow. So I am going to go ahead and cut these out. Super, super simple fussy cutting right here, guys. There is nothing too terrible about it. Just slight curves and straight lines. So really, really easy. If you wanted to I'm sure that there are cut files that you could cut this out with a electronic die cutter. But for me, doing it like this was perfect. It probably took me less time to do it this way than it would have been to go find a file, download it, probably find a free file, because I'm cheap like that, set up the die cut machine and all that. So I'm not too terribly worried about it. I am going to erase the pencil lines that still are there on these bow pieces. And now I'm going to go ahead and make the bow. So these are really easy bows. You could also do this in a different way. Like if you didn't want to make a completely round bow, you could have just left it off with the two. It's also really easy to make a single bow with doing one loop and then putting little bow tails on it. But I am basically making a completely round bow, and then I'm going to put a center in it. So this kind of bow reminds me of the big old, you know, when you're out buying your Christmas wrap and such things like that, like those big old bows that come in the giant bags. This is what reminds me of that. And I will say, when we first got married, this is how I used to decorate my packages. Not by making bows, like out of paper and stuff, but I would buy the big old bows, and I would buy the curling ribbon, and I would curl the heck out of that curling ribbon, and put it coming out from underneath one of those big old fluffy bows. So this is kind of like a nostalgia layout for me as well. You know, just thinking back to the late 90s, early 2000s, our first couple of Christmases. Yeah, that's totally totally memories there. So as you can see, I am fussy cutting out all of these ribbons. Now this is a little bit more tedious than cutting out the bow pieces. So if this is not your jam, you probably not something you would want to do. But maybe if you have one of those fancy die cutting machines that can cut out images, maybe that is something you might like to do. So I didn't make you watch me cut out all of that curling ribbon, but there it is underneath of the bow. And then I pop one over here on the right hand side of the page with a coordinating banner made out of some more of that Crafty Elves paper pad. I grabbed some letter stickers from my stash to spell out the word Merry. And then that is going to do it for my present layout that I made with that awesome curly bows stencil and Velveteen Glaze. Love me some Velveteen Glaze. And of course, Glitter Glaze is on there too, because everybody needs a little shining, shimmering, splendid in their life. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I will see you guys again real soon for another video.